At a crowded airport gate, twin black teenage girls are humiliated when a smug gate agent refuses to let them board. Passengers watch silently, some uncomfortable, some amused. The twins keep their calm until a single phone call shifts the tea. Entire energy in the terminal. We don't let people like you fly first class. The words slap the air so hard that the chatter in Terminal B stops mid-sentence. The gate agent, a thin, pale man with slicked back hair and a plastic smile, flicks his wrist toward the security rope like he's shooing away stray dogs. Behind them, a line of passengers watches. Some pretend to check their phones. Some stare, wide-eyed, hunger in their curiosity. The giant windows bleed out the morning sun, making the floor shine too bright for comfort. Zara and Zuri stand side by side, identical. Tall, 17 with braids tied back and small gold hoops in their ears. Zara's hand tightens on her boarding pass. Zuri glances at her sister, then at the man's name tag. Kevin her voice doesn't tremble. "Sir, we have first-class tickets, printed and digital." Kevin smirks, leaning close enough for them to smell stale coffee on his breath. "Honey, there's a dress code for this cabin. Hoodies and sneakers? Not happening." Zara looks down, matching black hoodies. White sneakers. Their mother's initials stitched small on the cuffs. The memory flickers, their mom on the porch, pressing money into their hands, whispering, "Don't let them see you fold." Behind Kevin, a woman in a blue blazer, another employee, watches, her eyes darting from Kevin to the line. She doesn't speak. She doesn't blink. Zuri slides her phone from her pocket, calm as the sea before a storm. Kevin raises an eyebrow. "What? You gonna call the fashion police?" Zara's voice cuts through the tension, smooth and clear. "No, just Dad." Kevin's chuckle cracks in his throat. "And Daddy's gonna do what, exactly?" Zuri lifts the phone to her ear. Her fingers don't shake. Her reflection in the polished gate counterglass is steady, the same face she's seen all her life beside her own, the symbol of all they've survived. She waits. One ring. Two. A voice answers, warm, low, and edged like a blade. "What's wrong, baby?" Kevin's grin twitches. The passengers lean in. A couple records on their phones, pretending they're texting. "Hi, Daddy," Zuri says. "Could you let the airline know Kevin here says we don't belong in first class?" Kevin's smirk wilts. The blue blazer woman shifts, mouthing words into a walkie-talkie. Zara crosses her arms. "And tell them you'll be here in 10 minutes if they need to see your ID." Kevin tries to grab the boarding pass from Zara's hand. Too late. She pulls it back, their fingers never touching. The sun keeps pouring in through the windows. The terminal is silent except for the hum of the announcement board overhead. Flight 719. Now boarding first class. Zuri lowers the phone, her eyes locked on Kevin's paling face. He says he'll see you soon. And behind the glass doors, a black SUV rolls up to the curb, tinted windows, government plates, and a man stepping out who doesn't look like he waits for permission. The man's shoes hit the polished floor. Like quiet thunder, crisp suit, broad shoulders, a dark tie knotted with practiced calm. Some passengers recognize him immediately. Others just feel the shift, the weight of someone who doesn't beg for space. Behind him, two security officers trail like shadows. They don't touch him. They don't have to. Everyone else steps aside as if the floor itself folds away under his stride. Kevin's eyes flick from the twins to the approaching figure. His smile tries to stay pinned on his face, but it trembles at the corners, a thread unraveling. Zara breathes out, steady. Zuri tucks her phone into her pocket like a final piece placed in a puzzle. The blue blazer woman lowers her walkie-talkie mid-sentence, her lips parting in a breath she didn't know she was holding. The man stops just short of Kevin. close enough to taste the cheap aftershave clinging to the gate agent's skin. He doesn't glance at the twins yet, just fixes his gaze on Kevin's name tag. Eyes moving slow, deliberate. "You're Kevin," he says, voice warm but edged with iron. No question in his tone. Just fact, like he's reading a file that's already signed. Kevin clears his throat. "Sir, it's standard procedure." A security guard coughs behind him, eyes flicking to the passengers who pretend to scroll their phones. Their screens reflect back tiny windows of Kevin's tightening jaw. "Standard procedure," the man repeats, tasting the words like they're spoiled fruit. He reaches into his inside pocket, pulls out a card. No logo, just an embedded chip and a gold-embossed name. Elijah McCoy, CEO. A hush slides over the gate. Someone at the back murmurs, "That's him. That's McCoy." Another hushes them, but everyone leans closer. Elijah hands the card to the blue blazer woman instead of Kevin. She holds it like a relic. He finally turns, eyes softening when they find. "Zara and Zuri, you good?" he asks, voice dropping lower, a private warmth that the cameras and whispers can't touch. Zara nods once. Zuri doesn't smile, not yet. He said, "We don't belong in first class." Elijah turns back to Kevin. "That calm mask doesn't crack." "Do you have any idea how much my family's flown with this airline, Kevin?" Kevin's mouth opens. No words come. His cheeks blaze pink, then pale. Elijah leans in, not angry, just tired. "You know what the worst part is?" He gestures at the silent passengers. "It's not that you said it. It's that nobody stopped you." The blue blazer woman whispers something into her earpiece. Kevin stares at the floor now, chest tight as if the air turned too heavy to hold. Security steps forward. Not for the twins. Not for Elijah. For Kevin. One of them touches his arm lightly, a silent request. Kevin flinches, tries to pull back. But the look from Elijah holds him in place better than handcuffs. Zuri's voice, gentle but sharp, cuts through the stillness. "Dad, we still making the flight?" Elijah nods once. "Boarding's waiting on you, princesses." Zara lifts her chin, eyes sweeping over the silent crowd. The people who watched,
recorded, and stayed seated. She doesn't thank them. She
doesn't have to. The gate agent is led away, muttering half-formed excuses to no one listening. Kevin's badge swings gently from his lanyard like a bell marking the end of his small kingdom. The twins hand their boarding passes to the blue blazer woman. She scans them with shaking hands, then steps aside, eyes lowered. Together they walk down the jet bridge. Not a word wasted on the crowd left behind. Behind them, Elijah watches the security door close around Kevin. He breathes out once. A small storm quieted, then follows his daughters onto the plane. The terminal hums back to life, gossip spilling. Like coffee over a white shirt. But the twins are gone before anyone can catch their eyes again. The hush follows them down the narrow jet bridge like an unwanted echo. The first-class cabin glows soft gold under dim lights. Champagne flutes clink. Briefcases snap open and shut. The crisp hum of money traveling well. Zara and Zuri settle into seats 2A and 2B. Elijah takes the aisle across, unbuttoning his jacket, his phone already buzzing with calls he ignores for now. He watches them settle, a father's soft shield behind quiet eyes. Zuri runs her fingers over the seat's leather armrest, then taps the control panel until the seat reclines in inch a test. Everything works. Everything is polished. But she can still feel Kevin's words clinging to her hoodie like static. A man 2 rows back leans into the aisle, peering over his newspaper. Zara meets his gaze dead on. He looks away first. The flight attendant appears, young, nervous smile, eyes darting from the twins to Elijah, then back. She kneels slightly beside Zuri's seat, voice low. Is there anything I can get you girls? Something to drink? Snack? Zuri flicks her eyes to her father, then back to the attendant. We're good. Thanks. The attendant hesitates, like she wants to say I'm sorry, but can't find the words that won't tangle in her throat. She straightens, smoothing her apron. If you need anything, she says again, voice higher now, I'm Melissa. Just press the button. She steps away, fussing with the curtain that separates first class from the rest of the plane. Beyond that thin fabric, Zara can hear kids laughing, someone sneezing, the engine's slow growl. A woman across the aisle, pearl earrings, crisp navy blazer, catches Zara's eye. She doesn't look away. Instead, she dips her chin, just a fraction, the smallest nod of understanding, or maybe apology. Zara can't tell which. Zuri tugs her hoodie sleeve over her wrist, the stitched initials brushing her skin like a reminder. Mom would have laughed at this. Mom would have dared Kevin to say it twice. She whispers, Do you think they'll say anything? Zara shakes her head, a dry smile ghosting her lips. Not to our faces. Elijah clears his throat, leaning across the aisle just enough. His voice drops, velvet and iron. Ignore the stares. Let people choke on their own shame. Zuri glances out the window. Rain beads against the glass in tiny rivers. Somewhere below, Kevin is probably still explaining himself to people who don't really care what his excuse is. The plane jolts slightly as they push back from the gate. The curtain flutters, the line between privilege and everyone else so thin it might as well be tissue. The twins buckle in, headphones dangling from their laps but unused. They listen instead to the silence, the hush that weighs more than the engine's low roar, a soft ding. Melissa returns, offering warm towels they don't really want but accept anyway. She tries too hard not to meet their eyes. Zara watches the man with the newspaper peek again. He flinches when he sees her stare, then buries his nose deeper in the paper's folds. His discomfort tastes better than any glass of champagne. Zuri leans her head back, eyelids fluttering. She murmurs to her sister, but he'll tell someone. Later he sat by us. Zara snorts softly. Let him brag. We're a good story for bored people. The plane inches toward the runway, humming louder. Elijah's phone buzzes again. He silences it with a swipe, then folds his hands together, eyes closing for a moment too brief to be called rest. For a heartbeat, the hush inside the cabin feels like a promise. This is the last time they'll ever be made to stand small for someone else's comfort. Zara feels it first, the quiet heat under her ribs. Not anger, not fear, something else. Like their mother's voice under her skin, reminding her to sit tall, chin high, feet planted on the floor of any room she enters. She glances at Zuri. Their eyes meet, mirrors. They don't need to speak. Outside, the plane tips nose first toward the runway lights. Thunder rumbles through steel and clouds dot inside. Two girls breathe easy, ready for the sky to remember exactly who they are. The seatbelt sign pings off. 30 minutes after takeoff. First class eases into soft murmurs, glasses clinking. Polite laughs half swallowed by plush seats and heavy curtains. Zara stares at the screen in front of her. The movie plays, but her mind drifts. To the gate, to Kevin's smirk. To how fast it vanished when Dad appeared like thunder. Beside her, Zuri scrolls through her phone, half listening to music she can't hear over her own thoughts. Elijah leans back across the aisle, eyes closed but not asleep. The soft rumble of the engines is the only lullaby he trusts. His phone, silent now, rests face down on the tray table. A flight attendant drifts by with a tray of wine. The man with the newspaper, the one who kept peeking, folds it slowly, places it on his lap like a shield. He catches Zara's eye again. This time he doesn't flinch. Instead, he clears his throat. Your father travels a lot, does he? He asks, voice just loud enough for the surrounding rows to catch it. Zara lifts an eyebrow. Excuse me? The man smiles politely, the kind that cuts. I only mean first class so young. It's unusual. Most teenagers back there with the rest of the kids, you know? He nods vaguely toward the curtain. Zuri pauses her scrolling, gaze sharp now. She turns in her seat just enough to face him full. We're with our dad, she says flatly. The man's grin twists. He looks over at Elijah, trying to mask a flicker of nerves. Of course. Of course. Just interesting world we live in. Isn't it? Some people earn it. Some people marry into it. His tone tastes of poison, wrapped in a compliment. Zara's lips part, but Elijah's voice slides in first, calm and steady. Some people build it from nothing, he says, without opening his eyes. The man stiffens, realizing too late that Elijah's been listening the whole time. Some people stay quiet. Some people don't. He opens his eyes then, slow, deliberate, and locks them on the man's. I suppose we're all deciding who we are every time we open our mouths, aren't we? The man laughs, small and brittle. He reaches for his wine glass, but his hand shakes enough to splash the rim. Zuri leans back, satisfied. Careful, she says sweetly. Wouldn't want to spill on that fancy tie. A couple nearby snickers into their sleeves. The man sets the glass down, knuckles white on his armrest. He lifts his newspaper again, shield up, fortress rebuilt too late. Zara exhales slow. Her chest loosens like a knot undone. She glances at her dad, who only shrugs, the tiniest lift of his shoulders. Handled. No need to draw more blood than necessary. Melissa appears again, hovering like an uneasy ghost. She places a small plate of chocolates on the twins' shared armrest. Compliments of the cabin, she says quickly, eyes flicking to the man with the paper, then back to them. Anything else you'd like? Zuri picks up a chocolate, turns it over in her fingers like she's weighing it for truth. No, thanks, she says. We're fine. Melissa's shoulders drop a fraction. Relief or guilt, it's hard to tell. Before she disappears behind the curtain again, the plane hums on. Outside, the night sky swallows everything but thin threads of moonlight that dance on the wings. Zara pops the chocolate in her mouth, bitter cocoa melting on her tongue. She doesn't savor it. She's not here for their sweet apologies. She leans over to Zuri, voice low. You think Mom would have said something? Zuri smiles sideways. She'd have given him that look that made grown men hide behind their wives. They both laugh then, quiet, careful. Not for the man's sake, for their own. To remind themselves they still have light that can't be boarded, checked, or stripped away by someone with too many opinions and not enough backbone. Across the aisle, Elijah closes his eyes again. But his hand rests on the armrest between them. Open and waiting. Zara reaches over, squeezes his fingers once. No more words needed. 30,000 feet above the small lives that tried to shrink them, they hold their space, calm, steady. Untouchable. The seatbelt sign pings back on with a soft chime that slices through the cabin's hush. Outside, clouds rumble under the wings like hidden mountains, invisible in the night. The plane dips, steadies, then shivers again, mild at first, then enough to make glasses tremble on tray tables. Zara grips her armrest, knuckles pressing white. Beside her, Zuri steadies her water cup, watching the ice cubes knock against each other like teeth. A voice hums through the speakers, the pilot's calm drone. Ladies and gentlemen, we're experiencing a patch of rough air. Please remain seated with your belts fastened. The usual reassurance. Words to keep. The worry polite. Zuri tilts her head back. Funny, she murmurs. The sky acts up every time someone tests us. Zara lets out a tight laugh. Maybe it's Mom. The man with the newspaper flinches with every jolt now, his face buried in the pages but his eyes darting above them. When he thinks no one notices, across the aisle, Elijah's phone lights up again, another message from the airline board, or the press office, or maybe another CEO wanting to know if the rumors are true. He silences it with a tap, his palm pressed flat on his knee. A gentle voice breaks through the hush from behind them. "Excuse me," says a woman, older, her silver hair tucked under a neat beret. She leans forward from the second row behind them, peering between their seats with kind eyes. Zuri twists in her seat. "Yes, ma'am?" The woman smiles, soft and warm like a blanket in winter. "I just wanted to say, I knew your mother." Years ago. Zara's breath catches. She turns. Too, disbelief flickering across her face. "You knew her?" The woman nods, her earrings swaying gently as the plane dips again. She was fierce. The kind of woman who made rooms bigger when she entered, not smaller. She once told a senator to sit down and let a janitor finish his sentence. Right there, on the Capitol steps. Zuri's lips part in a grin that feels like a heartbeat pounding in her chest. That sounds like her. The woman's eyes glimmer under the soft overhead light. "You look like her, both of you. Same eyes. Same down single quotes T-mess- with dash me chin." The plane jolts again, a sharp dip, then steady. Passengers gasp, clutching armrests and drinks. But the woman doesn't flinch. She nods toward Elijah, who watches silently, a faint smile ghosting his lips. "Your father," she says, her voice lowering, "stood right next to her every time, not behind, not in front, beside." Zara swallows a lump in her throat. "Thank you," she says. 2 words, heavy as a promise. The woman squeezes Zuri's shoulder gently. "Keep standing that way. And next time someone tries to clip your wings, make sure they remember who taught you to fly." She settles back into her seat, vanishing behind the headrest like a whisper left behind in the dark. The plane smooths out. The seatbelt sign flicks off with another soft chime, but Zara doesn't unclench her hand from the armrest, yet Zuri leans in, voice soft. "Do you think we're ready for this?" Zara lets her head rest on her sister's shoulder, the only safe landing she ever need. "We don't get ready," she says. "We stay ready." Across the aisle, Elijah catches their eyes. He raises an eyebrow, a silent question. "You good?" Zara lifts her thumb, just a sliver of defiance and calm in a world that keeps trying to buckle them with bad weather. The clouds outside part. Moonlight cuts through, painting silver lines across the wings. Somewhere below, storms still rage. But up here for now, they fly steady. And somewhere in the hum of the engine, their mother's voice feels close enough to touch. The cabin lights flicker to life, softer than dawn but harsh enough to chase away sleep. The captain's voice hums. Overhead, "Ladies and gentlemen, we've begun our initial descent." Zuri blinks awake, the window beside her fogged with tiny rivers of rain. The city below glitters through breaks in the clouds, a pulse of headlights and street lamps, tiny arteries of life waiting to swallow them whole. Zara stretches her neck, stiff from leaning against her sister's shoulder for an hour. She wipes a circle clear on the window, peering at the runway lights threading through the dark. Elijah stirs across the aisle. He slides his phone open for the first time in an hour, and this time he doesn't silence it. Instead, he reads. A slow exhale. A smile that never quite touches his eyes. Zuri nudges him with her gaze. Bad news? He shakes his head once. Small. No, just news. A ping from the seatbelt sign. A flight attendant walks the aisle, checking buckles. Her eyes pause on the twins, softer now, less forced than when they first boarded. She gives a small nod. Zuri nods back. Enough said. As the plane banks lower, the hum of gossip trickles down the rows again. Some passengers scroll their phones. Screens bright with headlines. Twin black girls denied boarding, CEO dad responds. Viral video shows airline discrimination. Elijah McCoy statement expected after landing. Zara reads one over a man's shoulder 2 rows up. The headline flickers in her mind like neon. They think we're a story. She almost laughs. They have no idea. The wheels thump down, rubber screaming against the rain-slicked runway. The cabin jolts, a shudder, then a sigh as the brakes ease them home. Outside the window, emergency lights flash on the tarmac, not for danger, but for drama. News crews huddle under plastic ponchos. Cameras sway like hungry eyes behind misted glass. Zuri groans. Seriously? Press already? Elijah glances at them both, his mouth twisting in half a smile. You want quiet, you chose the wrong parents. The seatbelt sign dings off. Passengers leap up as if the plane's on fire. Bags slam out of overhead bins. Zara stays seated. So does Zuri. They know better than to run when all eyes already follow you. A voice cracks over the PA. Mr. McCoy, please remain seated. A representative will escort you from the aircraft. The woman with the beret from before passes them in the aisle. She pats Zuri's shoulder once, brief as a blessing. Then she's gone, swallowed by the crush of passengers pretending not to watch but staring anyway. Melissa appears at their row. This time her voice is stronger. Your bags are waiting. They're holding the jet bridge for you. Take your time. Elijah stands first, smooth, calm, storm contained in a tailored suit. Zuri looks at her sister. Ready? Zara breathes deep. The memory of Kevin's smirk flickers, then dies. Always. They step into the aisle, shoulders brushing, a small wall no one pushes through. Elijah follows, one hand on each of their backs, like a shield, and an engine all at once. When the cabin door opens, the flash of camera lights slices through the stale airplane air like a blade. Questions barked, muffled by the hum of engines and the plastic hiss of rain on metal. Zara squints into the blur of microphones. Somewhere in the mess, a voice shouts, "Is it true they threatened to fire the agent?" Zuri lifts her chin, lets the question hang. She doesn't owe them answers. Not yet. Elijah guides them through the jet bridge, past the gate where this started, now crowded with phones and lenses. The same glass windows, the same carpet. But now, every step they take leaves a mark no one can mop away. Security flanks them, not because they asked for it, because silence can turn to danger when arrogance feels cornered. At the terminal door, Elijah pauses, turns just enough for the cameras to catch the outline of his daughters beside him. He says only 2 words, "We're home." Then the doors slide open, the storm outside folding into the warmth of family stepping forward into the night. The real story just beginning to take shape. Security guides them through a side corridor, all glass walls and low hush, too. A private lounge hidden behind frosted doors. No cameras follow here. No microphones pressed up to their lips like feeding tubes for headlines. Inside, leather chairs, soft lamps. Coffee steaming in porcelain mugs no one really wants. Rain taps the huge windows like a patient question that won't go away. Zara drops her bag on a chair and paces. Zuri perches on the armrest, phone buzzing in her hand like a heartbeat she can't silence. Elijah stands near the window, jacket draped over one arm, tie loosened just enough to show he's not in CEO mode now, just dad. A woman waits by the corner table, early 50s. Sharp glasses, gray at her temples, tablet in hand. Camille Rivers. Elijah's right hand when the stakes bleed into the press and the press bleeds into real life. Camille glances at the twins, her expression calm but edged. It's out, she says simply. Zuri lifts an eyebrow. Out how? Camille turns the tablet so they see the swirl of headlines. Teen sisters face racism on flight, father demands answers. Airline apologizes, but is it enough? CEO dad threatens lawsuit? Zara scoffs. Threatens? Camille nods. They'll spin it. Some already are. Talking heads, morning shows, commentators you've never met deciding who you are. The same people who'd say nothing if you stayed quiet. Elijah rubs his jaw, eyes locked on the city lights flickering through the rain. They want sound bites, not the truth. Zuri flips her phone over and over in her hand. So what do we do? Smile for them? Camille meets her eyes, sharp but kind. Do you want this to fade? Or do you want it to mean something? Silence hums between them. The same hush that wrapped the cabin, the same hush that made Kevin think he could speak poison and walk away untouched. Zara stops pacing. Her voice is soft but steel-lined. We don't fade. Zuri nods, fire-catching. Mom didn't fade. She didn't smile and make nice. Elijah's mouth curves, pride shadowed by worry. People will come for you, trolls, pundits, people who think your place is wherever they tell you. Zuri leans forward, elbows on her knees. Then we remind them who's really flying the plane. Camille taps her tablet, pulling up a rough draft of a statement. She tilts it for Elijah to see. I can speak for you both, or she glances at the girls. You can speak for yourselves. Zara meets Zuri's gaze, that same mirror, that same unspoken language only they share. The plane, the gate, the hush, the apology they never asked for. All of it spiraling toward this. Zara breathes out. We speak. Camille nods once. Number lecture, no caution. Just a quiet respect that settles between the hum of vending machines and distant boarding calls echoing through the lounge walls. Zuri's fingers hover over her phone screen. She types a line, deletes it, types again. Then she laughs under her breath. I don't know if I want to be brave or petty. Zara grins, slipping down next to her on the armrest. Both is good. Elijah turns from the window, jacket draped over his arm like a cloak. He kneels in front of them, a man who's built empires, boards, entire industries that bend when he nods. But here, with them, he's just the calm before every storm. He takes their hands, one in each of his. This doesn't end here, he says softly. You know that, right? Zuri squeezes his hand. We know. Zara's eyes flick to Camille, then back to her dad. But it starts with us. Camille taps a message into her phone. I'll prep the press. They'll try to corner you. Be ready. Zuri lifts her chin, the same angle their mother wore on courthouse steps and at community meetings that turned silent when she spoke. Good, she says. Let them watch. Outside, rain hammers the window like applause no one paid for. In the quiet of the lounge, the next tack the press area looks more like a feeding pen than a news conference. Bright lights stacked like eyes, reporters bristling with microphones, plastic cables snaking across the terminal floor. Security forms a loose circle that barely holds the tide back. Behind that wall of cameras, random passengers pause with luggage, pretending not to stare while holding their phones steady to capture it all. Some whisper Kevin's name like a ghost story. Some wonder how two girls who look so calm could make an airline sweat overnight. Zara adjusts the mic stand with steady fingers. Zuri stands beside her, chin high, hoodie sleeves tugged just enough to show the stitched letters at the wrist, MW, their mother's initials. A small defiance no one here can spin. Camille stands to the side, eyes flicking to her phone, ready to cut anyone off if the questions turn cheap. Elijah lingers behind the girls, arms folded, a mountain no reporter will ever climb. A woman from A major network steps forward first, voice sharp as a blade hidden in a handshake. Zuri, Zara, some are saying this was blown out of proportion. How do you respond to claims that this was just a misunderstanding? Zuri's mouth twitches. She leans into the mic. If calling my dad to remind a company I paid for my seat is blown out of proportion, they should have thought about that before telling me I didn't belong. Murmurs flicker through the swarm. Zara doesn't smile. She lets the silence work for her, the same hush that made the gate. Agent think no one would challenge him. Another reporter calls out. Do you think the airline owes you more than an apology? Zara tilts her head, braids brushing her shoulders. We think they owe everyone after us better than an apology. They owe change. A man in the back, pressed suit, glasses slipping down his nose. What about the employee? Kevin, do you want him fired? Zuri's eyes flick sideways to her sister. The question bounces between them like a spark they refuse to fan. Zara says, Kevin's not my focus. Zuri adds, the silencer on Kevin is, that hush again, but not the same hush. This one ripples, catches in the recording lights, and echoes down the terminal like a warning. Elijah shifts, arms still folded, eyes steady on his daughters. He doesn't speak. He doesn't need to. They've already said more than any boardroom ever could. A young reporter up front, different energy, no network badge, just a phone with a cracked screen. He clears his throat. What do you want? Kids who look like you to take from this. Zuri's breath catches for half a second. She glances at Zara, and when her sister nods, she leans into the mic again. I want them to know, she says, voice edged but warm, that you don't have to beg someone to see you. You stand where you bought your seat. You sit where you belong. You don't fold for comfort. Zara picks it up, smooth as water flowing over stone. And when someone tries to shrink you, you remind them, quietly or loudly, that you didn't come to fit in their box. A beat of silence. Cameras whir. Screens flicker. The hush isn't about shame now. It's about what can't be unsaid. Camille steps forward, voice crisp. That's all for tonight. Further questions can come through legal. We're done. Here. A wave of murmurs breaks behind them. Questions shouted too late, mics pushed too close. Flashes catching the calm on the twins' faces like a promise no spin doctor can edit out. Elijah slips between them, an arm around each shoulder. Zuri drops her head lightly against his arm. Zara lets out a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. As security parts the crowd. They walk through, slow, steady, unbothered. The hum of the terminal folds back around them. The same glass. Walls, the same blinking boards. But now their reflection is different. Two girls standing tall where someone once said they didn't belong. Outside, the rain lifts. Lights scatter across wet pavement like stars spilled from their pockets. In every phone streaming this moment, the world watches, and some kid somewhere, hoodie zipped tight, learns exactly what power can look like when you don't fold. Off is already unfolding, louder, wider, and impossible to hush. The black SUV hums down rain-slick streets, headlights carving thin silver lines through the dark. Inside, the city's noise is muted, just the low hum of tires on wet asphalt. Elijah's quiet voice on a call, Camille tapping out emails that bite harder than any headline. Zara scrolls through her phone. Notifications bloom like bruises. Millions of views, thousands of comments. Some warm as a blanket, some sharp as broken glass. Zuri leans over her shoulder, reading them too. Spoiled rich kids crying racism. Good for them. Make them uncomfortable. Kevin was right. They don't belong. They belong more than you ever will. The words come in waves, cold, stinging. Zara's thumb hovers over the block button. Then she locks the phone instead. Some storms you don't feed. Elijah glances back from the passenger seat. You? Too okay? Zuri meets his eyes in the rear view, not surprised. Zara adds, voice steady, not scared either. Camille flips her tablet toward them. A new headline. Passengers speak out. They watched and did nothing. Zuri winces. They're trying to make heroes out of silence now? Camille's mouth tightens. They're trying to sell clicks. Silence doesn't pay. Conflict does. The car slows, easing through the gates of the neighborhood, high hedges, old brick walls, the kind of quiet money can buy but respect must keep. Inside, the house glows warm through rain-smeared windows. Home, not fortress, not trophy. Just home. The moment the car stops, a figure waits at the door. Grandma Ruth, short, sharp, hair wrapped in a purple scarf, apron dusted with flour. She's been waiting since the gate. Her eyes catch the twins first, scanning them like a doctor, like a mother whose baby is still every child under her roof. Inside, she pulls Zara close, then Zuri, her hands cool but her voice hot as pepper. You two got the world spinning backward tonight. Zara breathes her in, cinnamon, soap. A memory of bedtime stories about warriors and stubborn trees that bend for no one. In the kitchen, she fusses with a kettle, ignoring Camille's phone calls, Elijah's emails, the world outside. Just the whistle of water, the clink of mugs, the soft rattle of rain at the window. Zuri leans against the counter. Grandma, did Mom ever? Ruth cuts her off with a look. Your mother never folded. You think you made that up yourselves? She sets 2 mugs in front of them, steaming, sweet, laced with ginger. Let them bark. Let them scratch. Wolves don't lose sleep over sheep. Zara cracks a smile around her sip. Some sheep have big microphones. Grandma Ruth shrugs. So you speak louder, speak better. You don't lower your voice for people who never plan to listen. In the living room, Camille's phone buzzes nonstop. She half listens to a voicemail, her eyes flicking to Elijah. Board's calling. Sponsors too. They want statements. Damage control. Elijah takes the mug Grandma hands him. They didn't mind the damage when it wasn't theirs, Camille sighs. There's talk of canceling your next speech. There? Afraid it'll look too political. Zuri barks a soft laugh. It's always political when you stand up. Zara glances at her father. You want us to pull back? Elijah's gaze holds theirs, steady, worn, unbowed. I want you to stand the way your mother did. If you're tired, rest. But don't shrink. Outside, the rain eases, drumming softer now, like an old heartbeat, steady, patient. Zuri lifts her mug, steam curling around her braids. Let them watch. Let them spin. We'll write the ending ourselves. Zara clinks her mug to her sisters. Grandma Ruth smiles, eyes misty but fierce. Camille shakes her head, a quiet grin breaking. Through the tension through the big window, the sky clears in thin patches. Headlights sweep past the gates. Neighbors coming home, maybe a reporter trying to snag one last photo before the night swallows them whole. Inside the house, the twins sit shoulder to shoulder on the kitchen stool, 2 girls who won't shrink just because the storm outside thinks it's louder than the fire in their bones. The first day back at school hits different than any takeoff or touchdown. The halls feel the same. Old blue lockers, the squeak of cheap sneakers on polished floors, the swirl of gossip drifting like fog. But Zara feels the hush when she walks through the doors. She feels how eyes cling, not mocking this time, but measuring. Some mouths open to say hi, but the words catch on tongues not ready for the wait. Zuri walks beside her, hoodie sleeves tugged tight, bag slung low on her shoulder. Her headphones rest around her neck, not plugged in. She wants to hear it all. A teacher pauses at her door as they pass, nods at them, awkward smile. They nod back. No small talk. Nothing fake. Near the cafeteria, A cluster of juniors hangs back. One girl with box braids meets Zara's eyes and doesn't flinch. She lifts her chin, small salute. Zara lifts hers back. Something passes in the air. A silent note. Next time, you too. Principal tries to catch them between classes. Quick handshake, dry words about handling things properly. Zara's handshake is firmer than his. Zuri's smile is sharper than his goodbye. By lunch, word spread that the twins are normal again. As if normal could ever fit them now, Zuri sits under a courtyard tree, phone in her hand, scrolling headlines they no longer chase. Zara sprawls on the grass beside her, head tilted to the sky. Think he got fired? Zuri asks. Kevin? Zara shrugs. Doesn't matter. Think Dad's speech will happen next month? It will. And if they cancel him, he'll make a bigger one. Zuri flips her phone toward her sister. A photo flickers on the cracked screen, them at the gate, frozen mid-argument, the moment the hush broke. Shared everywhere now. Meme, proof, rumor, truth, all at once. They're gonna remember us for this. Zuri says. Zara watches the clouds drift above the branches. Good. A boy approaches, backpack half-zipped, sneakers dragging dust. He hesitates a foot. Away, voice soft. Hey, my mom said what happened to you guys wasn't right. She said she told her boss she won't fly that airline again. Zuri lifts her eyes. Good for your mom. The boy shifts, toe nudging the grass. She said she wants you to know she's sorry, that she didn't know it still happens. Zara pushes herself up on her elbows. Her eyes meet his, no edge, no mockery, just quiet. Tell your mom it always did. And tell her thanks. He nods, shoves his hands in his pockets, and slinks away, awkward but braver than silence. Zuri tips her head, a small grin teasing her lips. Think mom's proud? Zara lets her eyes close. Wind sifts through the leaves, carrying the hush that always belongs to them now. But this time, it hums like a promise instead of a threat. She better be, Zara says. She's the reason Kevin's probably stuck reading HR manuals in a basement right now. They laugh, sharp and soft all at once. A teacher inside the windows glances out, sees them, decides to keep walking. They'll write essays about this someday, maybe. Or maybe not. Maybe they'll just keep living it loud enough to need no paper trail. Soft buzz from Zara's pocket. Her dad's message. Board sign new policy. Mandatory bias training. Pilot union backing it too. Zuri snorts. Can't train away hate. Nope, Zara says. But you can make it expensive. They watch the clouds a minute longer. The world beyond the branches feels wide. A runway stretching wherever they want it to go. No gate, no curtain. No hush they didn't claim for themselves. When the final bell rings, they stand, brushing grass from their jeans, slinging bags over shoulders made for carrying more than anyone gave them permission to hold. Zuri nudges her sister. Next trip? Zara grins. First class, always. Together they step off the courtyard grass and into the swarm of students. Laughter, fresh rumors, the next normal day that could never be normal again. In a hush that follows them. Theirs. No gate to block them. No seat to deny them. No apology they ever needed to ask for. Only their names, steady as their mothers, stitched in every place they'll ever stand. And the sky, wide open, remembering exactly who they are.